Hello and welcome to Total War Pharaoh. This is one of 3 battles that we are allowed to show you of a battle build that we were given access to for a week. Currently still have access to it because I'm recording this live. I'm sure you've heard this game is coming out later this year. It was announced about a week ago. And we are now allowed to show you some battles. So this is the second of 3 battles. I figured I wouldn't start with the first one because I imagine that's what most people will do, or they will start with the third one, which is a big siege. So I'm going to start with the second one, which is also my favorite of the 3 battles. This is kind of a mid, like halfway through campaign, and like a mid-tier army. Whereas the first one is a very early game army, and the third one is a late game siege. So I figured this would be a good place to start. Now, before we get started, I want to quickly let you guys know I'm going to be doing all 3 of the battles in 3 separate videos. I'm also going to do one fourth video, or a 4th video, which might actually come out before this. I'm not entirely sure what my schedule is going to be yet. But in that video, I'm going to go all out on my thoughts on the game, which are not necessarily 100% positive. I usually am quite positive with new Total War games, but I want to be realistic with this one, and I have some doubts. And I want to share those with you, but I will do so in the other video. So in this one, I'm going to focus mostly on the battle itself, on the strategy, on the units, and just look at all the new stuff. But I do have thoughts, and they will be in a separate video altogether. So yes, the second battle. Ramesses, all the battles are with Ramesses, should let you guys know. This one is up against the man whose name is impossible to pronounce. No one's ever done it. Don't know what his mom was thinking. Suppiluliama. Yeah, that one. Bronze and Thunder. Let's get into it.
Much blood has been shed for this title, and nobody is more deserving of the Pharaoh's crown than you, especially not outsiders. These Hittites have sailed far and gather at your borders, waiting for the right moment to strike and take your head. But a Pharaoh does not wait. A Pharaoh acts. And so you will meet these invaders with bronze and blood before they take a single step further into Egyptian land. Your land. These are the troops who believe in your cause, in your divinity, and they will die for their Pharaoh. Some you will recognize. They stood with you as you struck down Seti. But your new title has attracted fresh faces. These Upper Egyptian mace axe warriors from Waset are better armored and well trained, ready to fight in your name. Do not forget that their armor will slowly break in the melee, so use them to defend your most vital positions. And swiftly destroy any armor that your opponent flaunts. Watch for enemy attempts to draw these heavier troops into the mud. Their weighty armor will limit their capabilities there. While the scouts have informed you that the rain will be light, you know better. You have foreseen that the gods themselves will come to watch you smite the invaders. Their righteous thunder will strike as you swat them down. Be careful not to lose yourself in zealous fury, and remember that everyone on the battlefield will fear the wrath of the gods. Use your abilities to calm your troops' nerves when they waver. Specialists in ranged combat will find it harder to pick out distant targets, but perhaps if we were to utilize their flaming arrows, then already trembling foes will flee in terror. These invaders will be driven back today. The Pharaoh demands it.
Alright. So, I will treat every one of these battles as if it's the first one you've watched, so I'm going to talk about some of the new features in this game. Starting with one of the things that he mentioned right away, which is the weather. The weather can now change halfway through a battle, dynamic weather if you will. So currently it is raining, which gives us minus 20% accuracy and reload time, or well, increased reload time. But it's going to turn into a thunderstorm at some point. Now, these things are predicted. Normally I think there is a chance of such a thing happening, but of course these 3 battles that we've got are scripted, so these things are going to happen. So later on, at some point in the battle, there's going to be a thunderstorm, which is going to give other debuffs, increased debuffs as well. So reduced range and extra morale debuff as well, which is very cool. Now what can also happen is the landscape can actually change because of it. So currently we already have some mud here, But let's say, for example, this sand right here, I think if you wait long enough, sand can actually turn into mud halfway through a battle. So at that point, heavier units especially are going to have problems moving through or fighting in sand because they will have debuffs. And we have some, this is a light class unit, we have a medium one here. So medium on sand gives us minus 10% melee attack, speed, melee defense, etc. And also actions to use more stamina. But if something turns into mud, then of course those debuffs are going to be even worse. And yeah, landscape can change halfway through a battle, which is very interesting. Another thing that's new is stances, which is something actually I believe the narrator talks about in the first battle. Again, when we get to the first battle, I'm also going to talk about it then, just to make it actually clear what's happening, in case you only watch, you know, in case you watch that one first or whatever. But yeah, stances. Different units have different stances. The most common one I think I've seen so far is hold. You've also got advance, give ground, and some other ones, which, for example, spear brace formation. I'm not going to go into all of them right now, reckless advance. The most predominant ones are the hold ground one, for example, which will make a unit take a brace formation, hold the ground as much as they can. So they will try and actually stay in their position. But we also have advance, for example. Let's take this unit. It's a javelin unit. Let's say for it's a melee unit for now. The shift thing is busted in this, by the way. Sorry. I'm going from one thing to another, but yeah, movement. This is maximum camera movement right now. This is if I press shift. It zooms across the map like an absolute madman. So I will use it because I'm so used to using it that I can't not use it, and it's going to happen accidentally, but I'll try not to, because of course it's complete nonsense to move around the map like this. Anyway, let's say this is... Oh god, there, that's what I mean. Let's say this is a melee unit. This is a regular fighting unit, and I put them in advance. Let's say they're fighting this unit here. This is an enemy unit, just for example's sake. These guys are fighting a line battle. My unit is set to advance, so they're going to try and actually push these guys back as they're fighting, constantly pushing them back further and further if they can. Now, I could also alternatively put them in give ground, which of course will do the opposite. So what you can actually do if you have a bunch of decent like melee units, like these guys for example, they unfortunately don't have it, but let's say we had a very defensive melee unit. We have them in the center of our line. We have some flanking units on the side, just as an example. Again, let's put some stuff around. I can have these guys go on fall back formation, and they will slowly, as they're in combat, they will slowly move back, which then of course gives my units a chance to attack the enemy in the rear. So there's lots of tactics that will come from these new formations that you can do. I am going to say immediately, so far I feel like I probably will never use them, because while they are a cool niche little thing, it's one of those, it's just going to increase micro by so much, and it probably won't be that useful. Like, you could win battles just as easily not using them, but it's cool that it's there. Like, I don't dislike it, it's more of a, I don't know, I guess we'll see. So that's that. We have, of course, chariots. Cavalry was very sparse in this era. In fact, I have no confirmation of this. There's a good chance there's no cavalry whatsoever. I'm sure there will be some late game units, because I feel like a Total War without cav units are but I don't actually know whether there is cav in the game or not. In the free battles that we can play, there isn't. There's chariots, but no cav by itself. So let's have a look at all the units quickly. We have, of course, our general, which is Ramesses. Of course, this is an actual full-on historical title, so no single entity mythical units anymore. You have a regular general's bodyguard again, although these can be different units. In fact, in this one, he's a chariot. In the first battle, he's a regular sword or Kopesh unit, and in the last battle he's an archer, so you can do all kinds of different things with the general. You can equip him on the campaign map as well with different weapons, and I think that might change what his bodyguard does, but anyway. Yeah, of course, stats on the sides. One thing that was mentioned just now is these guys have something. It mentioned something about their armor. I don't know where I can currently see this. I think well, I'm actually not entirely sure at the moment, but yeah, there is a stat now, which is a unit's armor, which will essentially break throughout a battle and get worse. I can't currently find it. I should say, I have played these battles before, but it was a few days ago. But But yeah, certain units have armor now, and the armor will actually get worse throughout a battle, so they will die quicker once the armor has been destroyed, essentially, which is kind of interesting. These are some of my favorite units in the free battles that we were able to play. I am considering making a top 5 units, or top 5 of my favorite units in this the preview event. And these guys would certainly be up there because they are very cool. But whether I'm going to make that video or not, I'm not sure yet. We'll see how well people receive these initial videos. We have some Sheridan Axe Bodyguards. These guys have something that came back, I believe, from Troy. I think that was the first and only game that has done it so far, which is an optional or an alt attack mode. So they have a sword and board right now. If you click this, they will change very slowly. In the battle, it happens faster, but they will very slowly change to two-handed weapon, which in this case is a two-handed axe. Very cool. Their stats, of course, also change to represent their different stats. So, of course, they don't have a shield anymore, but they have massively increased damage output. I think they also have the, I'm not sure which one it is, but flanking attack improved. So these guys are insanely good for flanking around. Very, very solid. We'll keep their shield out for now until we do the flanking, though. We have some archers, some good old Magi archers. These are basically middle-of-the-road archer units, as far as I can tell. They are mostly naked, so there you go. We have some Sheridan Raiders as well. These are your Javelin units. Javelins, I remember from Troy, really loving them. Basically, just flank around a unit, chuck some jabs in their back, and GG. We have some Lower Egyptian Veteran Spearmen. They didn't hold off with the names in this game. Some names are stupendously long. There's some Upper Egyptian Mace Axe Warriors, just so you know. But yeah, Lower Egyptian Veteran Spearmen, just a decent middle tier spear unit from the looks of things. And then, of course, yeah, the Upper Egyptian Mace Axe Warriors, which are really, really cool. So, as I said, I'm not going to bother too much with these stances, because I don't know if I'll ever really get into them. I feel like it's quite difficult well, not difficult to micro, but probably not worth it to micro. There's also flaming arrows. That's another thing I should probably mention if I haven't yet. Just like in Free Kingdoms, things like forests can actually quite easily burn. Not so much in rain, of course, but when the weather is dry, or it's like an extreme dry or extreme heat or whatever it's called, things will actually light on fire very easily. So if you fire at a bush, if you're an enemy that's in a bush, the whole thing will just light on fire very easily, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I think that's all the units we've had a look at. So let's make an actual line. I hate that in these preview battles, they always give you like 3 of each. I absolutely, you guys, if you know me, you know I absolutely fucking despise it. It's just so annoying. I'm actually gonna make my line of, I think, these 3 guys, because they're pretty standard frontline, well, not frontline unit, more of a flanking unit, but I want to use my spears against their chariots. I'm going to hold them kind of in the back for now, maybe put them somewhat out to the side. Keep this one in reserve. I definitely want to use these guys who can switch their weapon as flanking units, so let's put 2 of them over here, 1 behind these guys. The same with these ones, they want to be flanking as well. We have a lot of flanking units and no frontline troops. This is a problem, because I can't hold a line with 4 units, I guess, if I use the spears as well. We will see. Put the archers in front for now, see if we can have some cracks for them. And then these guys want to kind of flank as well, but maybe we'll flank around the center. And of course, we have a flanking general too. Chariots in this game, another game that seemed to be incredibly good. Even the light bow chariot units will absolutely slaughter stuff in melee, but it's unsure why, because they will just kind of run through a unit and they don't look like they're doing anything, but they're absolutely slaughtering a unit very quickly. It's kind of odd. Let's bring these guys in a little bit, slightly more defensively. Okay, I think that's about all we've got, to be honest. Let's start the battle. They've got some chariots as well, hence heavy spear chariots and heavy spear chariots. We're gonna move these guys up and do a little bit of harassing on those guys. So I definitely want to make sure we deal with those with spears if we can. Yeah, keeping the spears out, or sorry, the shields out for these guys, whilst we, oh, that's the wrong one. You two, please. Whilst we are potentially going to be shot at. Alright, this is an interesting line. It's not really how I would usually make my lines, but hey, there you go. It is what it is. Alright, so harassing the Hittite chariots. I'm moving back though. I basically just want to lure them towards my spears and then have this guy go around and kill all of their slingers because they've got loads of those. And they will kill me pretty quickly. You can see it here, 88% armor, so that's their armor rating. Not sure where I can see. Oh, I can see it on my own unit cards as well. Oh, we are being outranged here, so this is kind of awkward. But I think we're gonna suffer it for a moment because they are advancing. Okay, there goes that unit. Although they might be going for my archers, so let's actually just move everything up. And preferably I'd have a spear unit deal with them, so let's try and run them in front. I would like to spear wall formation, but I'm not sure if I can do that fast enough. Just charge him in there, to be honest. Fuck it. Screw it. Get in there. They don't seem to be actually charging me anyway, so that's actually worked out pretty well. They're kind of in my unit, but we are absolutely massacring them, so that's good. Which also leads this unit able to start flanking around now. You guys really have to deal with that unit, so I'm going to keep you there for now. I was going to use you to fill the gap. Our javelins, let's just put them over here. Okay, those chariots were dying pretty quickly, and then decided not to die pretty quickly anymore. Okay, if you're going to be fighting, we're going to switch it up. I still want to make sure you deal with them, but they're all the way over there, so that's irrelevant. You're going to mess up their general, because this unit's going to absolutely slaughter the enemy general. Because they are incredibly heavy, strong units. Fearful units. They are definitely one of my favorite units in this this preview build that we have. I'm going to have you guys help out as well. And we're going to have you guys kind of flank around here. You two can switch as well. And then run over here and maybe charge them for now. You can help out. You are going to switch to melee and start charging all of the slingers. Unfortunately, we are being kind of nuked by these chariots, which I somewhat forgot about in my defense. Look at how, even though we're getting slaughtered by chariots and stuff, we are absolutely massacring their general. That's great. Let's have a little look at this. Although I will, for the most part, be zooming in and stuff during the battles where I will showcase some stuff rather than... sorry, where I will talk about my thoughts rather than I'm actually doing the battles. Let's try and run around here. They're going to just massacre these massacre these slingers, which is very similar to slaughter, I suppose. Just kind of still deal with this chariot unit, though. Maybe let's have you try and fire on them a little bit as well, just to help out. You can fire in the side of them. You can fire in them. If you can indeed go around here, that'd be great. So yeah, the general's absolutely massacring these slingers, but it's just kind of from running into them and then they die. It's almost like a Rome 1 animation, if you guys remember that, where you just run into units and then they absolutely fly backwards like crazy. And then somehow you win. Alright, so we are losing this battle, but if this was a 1v1, I think they would have won. And they certainly did a lot of damage, so that's decent. Okay, we just routed that unit to get in the back of all this, except for you. Want to be throwing at something else, perhaps. We got an archer through into my line, which is not nice. Or sorry, an archer that's being attacked by one of their units that came through into my lines. You can start charging in the back of some stuff, or perhaps into these javelins here. That'll be a lovely little charge right in the back of them. Though there seems to be a heavy unit in there as well. Or actually, that unit is just quite heavy. It's a heavy javelin infantry. Oh shit, that's why. that would certainly explain it. We've got a whole bunch of routing going on now, though. Yeah, I think this is all but over. In fact, this unit is still going strong. They're doing all right. Your warriors are losing heart. Who's that? Oh, it's actually, no, it's not them. It's this spear unit next to them. We got massive units routing over here, which means that basically it's just this unit. Oh, Thunderstorm, which is going to reduce morale. But that's probably better for me because they've got absolutely mass routing going on. There goes the general, and there it is. Clean. I totally forgot to use my abilities. We have Inspiring Shout and Take Aim. There you go. Enjoy that. A close victory. Fair enough. First time I played the Siege battle, I actually got a heroic victory. I hope I can replicate that. Although I saved that one, actually, so I might use that one in the FOTS video. So yeah, this is the last screen I'm allowed to show you. You can see some of the stats. So, there you go. That's that unit I said is very cool. It got 112 kills. The one that was killing the general, that was this one, 62 kills. And it was being slaughtered from all sides. And it still managed to get 62 kills on what I think is only the general, basically. Javelin's not particularly well used, nor were the archers really. The chariot absolutely massacring stuff, and this was a light chariot. It was a general though, so they may get some extra stats from that. But compared to their chariots, which are these ones, I guess. No, these are axemen. What the? Where are their chariots? Am I blind? Hello? Oh, these are the chariots. Sure, of course they are. 126 and 19, man. That okay? Yeah, well, that one we killed like right off the bat, I guess, and then the other one we didn't. But yeah, even so, we got twice the kills, more than on a light chariot rather than a heavy one. So chariots, I have no idea how they're gonna go. They might be ridiculously overpowered, but again, remember this is very early alpha. So the stats of these units will almost absolutely be changed before release and balanced and such. But yeah, that's that. That is bronze and something, whatever this battle was called. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Next time is either the siege or the early game battle. Probably the early game one. Maybe the siege. Who knows? Until then, have a good day and goodbye.